Alright, welcome back. Here with another replay cast. Thank you to Zaskow again for letting me know that I had an issue. I uploaded the wrong video, it turns out. I actually forgot to record this, so I'm doing a re-recording. So we've got What Else? This is going to be the new race that I'm playing as. And we are playing against the Dark Elves on the Mountain of Mourn. And so what I brought is Orion as my lord. And I've got, let's see, 4 squads of Eternal Guard, 3 squads of Dryads, one of them being the race of the Frozen Heart. I've got 3 squads of Glade Guard and a Spellsinger of Beasts. And I brought the Spellsinger of Beasts because I wanted to be able to use Flock of Doom on the infantry stacks that the Dark Elves often have. So for my opponent, they've got Morathi on a Harpy, I guess. I'm not sure what that mount is exactly. They've got a Master on a Cold One. They have got 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers. They've got Black Arc Corsairs with handbows. It looks like 3 of them. They have got the Crows of Cain, which are their regiments of renowned Harpies. And they've got the Bolt Fiends, which are their regiments of renowned Dark Shards with shields. So I believe that is it. Fast forward our way through the beginning. I am doing my intro a little bit differently. I'm bypassing the loading screen and just keeping that as a thumbnail, just for the sake of cutting off a little bit of time. So you can see on the approach, I've got Orion and the Glade Guards just getting some shots off on Morathi. You see she backs up a little bit. I thought I landed a shot with Orion early on, but maybe not. Oh, there we go. So a lot of firing coming in from the what do you call them? Black Arc Corsairs. Got Eternal Guards set up on point 1, Glade Guards in the back, Dryads in the back, hiding in the woods. I'm not sure what that spell was that they just used. Let's take a quick peek. Okay, so they've got a bombardment. So armor-piercing bombardment that Morathi dropped on my Eternal Guard. First squad's getting chewed up pretty bad. Got my Dryads and my other squad of Eternal Guard on the way. I did bring Eternal Guard with the Silver Shields because of the shooting that the Dark Elves often bring. Just using a bombardment from Orion on top of the Black Arc Corsair blob. You can see Orion has a bombardment called Hawk's Talon. He also has a vortex called Hounds of Orion. So I actually didn't know this until I was picking up my lord, that he does have some kind of anti-infantry type skills in his toolkit as far as his abilities. So we've got Dark Riders with shields charging into my Eternal Guard, Master charging into my Eternal Guards. Over on point 1, they're both going to get chased off. Not a great trade for them. My Eternal Guards are taking a beating from their Dark Shards up on the hillside. This is a very good positioning from them, and I believe they're also getting shot at by the Reaper Bolt Throwers. But on the middle, we've got point 2. And we did have the capture weight over here, so pushing them off. Now Orion is getting in the mix, and I noticed this charge coming in from the side. These guys snaked around and joined Morathi to jump on top of one of my squads of Glade Guards. So I'm bringing Orion back. Pit of Shades coming down on my Glade Guard. It's going to deal a lot of damage. I've probably mentioned this before, but it's a really brutal spell, and I wonder how much it costs. I actually haven't looked at that. But regardless, Bleak Sword's coming in support to help out the Master. Dryads are going to deal good against them. Eternal Guard still soaking up missile fire from the Dark Shards. And as long as this Master is not fighting large, valuable targets for me, I'm mostly satisfied with that. I got Zotes coming in. These are the Enigmas of Giran. How do you pronounce it? Giran. Regiments renowned Zotes again. Treekin coming in to be some ground holders. And Morathi is getting chased off. So the Zotes and Orion both are good anti-large armor piercing. We're able to deal with the Dark Riders and again their lord who had jumped on top of my Glade Guard. Although this squad is basically done for. Another squad rallying. I think that was an army ability coming down from the Dark Elves. I'm not quite sure. Maybe not an armory ability, but some kind of cast. I'm not sure what the... Yeah, I guess it was that same one. I guess there's two uses on that throughout the whole battle. So Zote's coming up here on the flank, kind of sitting on the side in case the cavalry recover, which you see they're doing right now. Black Arc Corsairs in here fighting against my Treekin and Orion. Who else? They got the Bolt Fiend still firing in. So Orion is large. He's got not great armor, so he is susceptible to shooting, it seems. But I kind of had the feeling that my firepower might be superior to theirs, as long as I could make sure that I'm focusing them down with the range advantage. So you can see my Glade Guard have 170 range, and my opponent, got 145 on the Dark Shards. The Black Art Corsairs only have 70. Zotes moving around here on the flank and charging in. Going to be getting on top of their shooting. Another bombardment coming down from Orion on the backfield. Got the Wild Hunters of Kurnus also coming in reinforcement. These guys are anti-large Wild Riders with shields. Again, shielded variant. Going to defend against some of the firepower from the Dark Elves, but also anti-large, so that if they bring out their own dark, what are they called, Dark Riders or anything like that these guys will be able to deal with them. Pit of Shades coming down on my Glade Guard who had retreated. That's going to clean them up. But luckily for me, I still have, I do not have the capture rate. So they did take 0.2 from me, but at this point it looks like I'm going to take that back. Zote's pushing into the backfield. Morathi's still kind of floating up top. She took a lot of damage from the Zotes and from Orion charging in to get her off of the Glade Guard. Dark Riders coming in to intercept, but luckily for me, I've got 2 anti-large units charging in there. I was really looking to get on top of the Shades and the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Very slightly ahead in the gold value, but doing well on victory tickets. So my opponent's Master is still back over here, fighting against my Dryads. Neither one of these units is going to be dealing a ton of damage to each other, but the fact that he's tied up fighting a small unit, especially infantry, that's fine by me. Treekin coming in to jump on top of these Black Art Corsairs as they charge my Eternal Guard. These guys are braced, so I believe that, what do they have? Charge Reflection. So yeah, they deal some extra damage against these guys. Dark Riders aren't going to do too much charging in against the Treekin, so feeling pretty secure over here. Got Glade Guard still in the back that can provide some supporting fire. Zotes and Wild Hunters of Kurnus in the backfield causing some trouble, and here is a problem. So look at Orion's health. 700 health, Morathi charged in, and luckily Orion was able to get a hit off on Morathi before she turned around. I think my opponent might have thought he was going to be able to charge in and finish Orion on that, I guess kind of like a cycle charge thing. Although maybe it would only be a cycle charge if she lifted off and kept turning back around. But either way, Orion is in trouble. And they have got Black Art Corsairs with Hambos who deal decent missile damage, especially since he doesn't have good armor. So you can see I'm running him at this angle. It's very faint, but I'm issuing a movement command to try to run kind of perpendicular to where these guys are versus the blocking terrain. Zotes and Wild Hunters of Kurnus still fighting in the backfield. I actually did not realize that these guys have, I only used it, I guess I did use it. These Zotes have abilities on them, and I didn't know that when I purchased them. But something cool there. They got Regrowth and they got Flesh of Stone on them. Even the non-regiments of renown Zotes. So these guys are still causing a lot of disruption in the backfield. They dealt with some Dark Riders. They dealt with some Shades. You can see these guys got whittled down, and Orion is now hiding. So I jumped on top of those Black Art Corsairs to get them away from pressuring him with my Spell Singer and these Treekin. I'm going to turn around eventually because there's no point in me pressuring 0.3. In my opinion, I've got the victory points lead and I'm holding decently well. Plus, the value trading is pretty even, so for me to take 3 points probably would just spread me out and leave me susceptible to maybe some worse engagements. So Wild Hunters to Kurnus are routing off the field. These Zotes are getting chewed apart by the shooting. And none of these troops in here are going to be doing anything crazy against them. I guess the Cold One Knights are pretty good with the anti-large armor piercing, but they took a good bit of damage for the damage they dealt. 0.1 still mine. Got a Great Eagle coming in and reinforcement. Orion still sitting in the back, kind of just using up his regeneration. You can see he's getting close-ish to his healing cap. I think he heals when he's under 25% health. It's something like that. I'm not going to dig into the details on that in the middle of this, but something along those lines. I had one Great Eagle come over here and jump on top of these Dark Shards who were firing in. Looks like they have recovered, but chasing off some other units. They got Dark Riders over here. So Glade Guard are going to back up and camp on the point. I believe I sent my Treekin and my Great Eagle over here to try to finish off the Dark Shards, so see them charging out of the woods there. They might not even notice that they're there if he wasn't paying attention to them chasing the Dark Riders off the field. And at this point, Orion and my Spellsinger are hiding. They have Crows of Cain chasing off my Zotes, I guess, trying to make sure that they go off the field. But here, I'm realizing, okay, they've got guys charging down the gut, and I do not have much there. I did not see that Pit of Shades coming down until it was too late. You can see I'm issuing a move command trying to get these guys out of there, but the guys who are within that circle are basically stuck and there's no way they're going to get out. So fortunately, losing a good bit of health off those Eternal Guard. I'm not sure if I lost any models. No, I didn't, but I mean, you see they're at less than half health just from that one cast. So my opponent's starting to get some capture weight. I had Treekin hiding in here who had earlier been chasing some troops off in this direction. So hiding in the woods, taking advantage of that, and now charging back into support in the middle. My Great Eagle and my Treekin back here are chasing off the Dark Shards and are hopefully going to get on top of that Reaper Bolt Thrower. Though now I'm looking at it, this guy doesn't have any ammunition left. Value trading is still very close. My opponent still has a little bit more supplies than me. Eternal Guard and Treekin charging in here, jumping on top of the Cold One Knights, prioritizing them. Great Eagle jumping on top of the Bleak Sword. My intention with the Great Eagles was to use them against kind of like light infantry and shooting that did not have much support near it. So, for example, if my opponent had like 2 or 3 squads of archers or crossbow units near each other, probably wouldn't send the Eagle in there unless I was like desperate to shut down the shooting, because they could just turn and kind of eviscerate this thing. It's only got 30 armor. But in a situation where there's one archer by itself, like when there was a Dark Shards up on this hillside, or when there's a Bleak Sword or something like that I can just dive in on, that's part of what I was using the Eagles for. That's probably a unit that I'm going to have to learn how to use, because they don't have crazy damage output, they don't have great armor or whatnot, but they have incredible speed, so maybe used for chasing expensive units off the field or things of that nature. Either way, almost doubled up in victory points, and not too surprising there, but my opponent has taken control of point 2 with the capture weight. They got a lot of Bleak Swords. They got Bleak Swords and Hargoneth Executioners coming in here, and this is where I get a good use of one of my abilities from Orion. Dropped a bombardment and caught both of these squads coming in. This is something that I made a mistake with in a previous match where I was playing as a Tomb Kings, and I had a big horde of skeletons coming down a ramp, and they were kind of like, bumping against terrain like this, and my opponent used Flock of Doom and it dealt a lot of HP damage, and that's something that I got to pay attention to. So Morathi looking to jump on top of my Glade Guard. I'm thinking that this was kind of an act of desperation because she's so low on health, and I had some pretty good firepower here shooting into the back of their troops as they were looking to get on top of my Dryads, but she has like no health, so she's going to get dealt with because I've got Eternal Guard here who you can see are changing direction to jump on top of her. Orion's going to come in. He's got safe enough health that she can't kill him in a couple of hits. You can see she's got 272 weapon damage right now, and he's got 1,800 health. So even if she were to get off a couple like really lucky hits on him, he's safe. That's why I charged in there to finish her off. Morathi's dead. Leadership's going to crack for them. And value trading's still very close. He's closed the gap actually a lot, but I've got a couple more troops on the field, a little more supplies to use. Dark Riders are getting chased off. They got scared up by my Dryads and are not going to be able to jump on top of the Glade Guard at this point. Great Eagle's still in here doing some combat against these infantry. I don't know how these Treekin are still alive in the backfield, but they're getting chased off. I must have had them kind of sleeping back here, and forgot to issue a move command. Eternal Guard over on point 1, and Glade Guards sitting in the woods. Now, I could have put them a little bit closer, but I put these guys back in the woods, so I wonder if you can see their range isn't going to get up on here fully or too far into units that are on the approach if my opponent were to send some, but I wanted them to be invisible to anyone approaching so they wouldn't know the Eternal Guard had support. So that's why I have them staggered back in the woods. Cold One Knights, these guys are going to crush this Great Eagle. These guys have pretty decent damage output, and this Eagle's, the little armor that it does have is just going to get punched through. Dryads getting shot off. Eagle's gone. I do have a squad of Eternal Guard sitting on this point, so they're going to just hold ground against these Hargoneth Executioners. Dryads coming in, Black Ark Corsairs, Leadership gets cracked as the Dryads approach. And let's see what else. I got some Zoats on the move as well. Dark Riders have been chased off. I think they were trying to loop around and get on top of my Glade Guard, and the Zoats dealt with them. I kind of missed that. Cold One Knights here charging around the side. And this is where I realized that these Zoats had this physical resist ability, Flesh to Stone. So if you cast this on them for 19 seconds, they've got 60% physical resist, and that is a massive amount of physical resist. It's almost like turning a unit into an ethereal unit, but they still have the full health of a normal unit. If you're not familiar with what an ethereal unit is, they're kind of like a ghostly unit, and they tend to have low armor, or low health, excuse me, but very high physical resist, and so that means you have to use magical attacks against them or spells against them to damage them effectively. But when you do that, because they have a low health pool, they can be dealt away with quickly. So Cold One Knights charging in. Normally this would be a different trade, but because I was able to pop that, you can see these guys are taking good damage, and my Zoats are taking almost nothing. Still a lot of shooting coming in here. The Glade Guard are doing their job. My opponent's got his Dark Shards and whatnot coming in, shooting in on my Eternal Guard and my Dryads, but I'm still maintaining capture weight. Squad of Dark Riders coming over here. If they threaten this side, I've got the Eternal Guard, so probably not a good trade for them. But if they come in here, the problem is I don't have any spears left. I kind of panicked and was trying to rush these guys in here when I saw these Dark Riders in the backfield, but I also realized I had enough for a Great Eagle. My Great Eagle's diving in, kind of going to disrupt that charge a little bit. Some of them will still get past, but it looks like he reissued his attack command and went after my Great Eagle once I charged in. He probably could have just spammed his right click and got on top of those Glade Guard to shut down my shooting, and more so try to ignore the Great Eagle, which actually you can see is happening. He might not have issued that command. That might have just been the AI of his unit automatically reprioritizing to the Great Eagle, but Glade Guard getting jumped now, so that shooting is getting shut down. Luckily for me, the time it took for them to redirect from the Great Eagle to the Glade Guard, my Eternal Guard got there and are shutting them down. And if you can't tell, this match is a foregone conclusion. My opponent's not going to be able to take point one from me. This is triple cap territory, and that's basically going to be that. So still a huge block fight in the middle. Pretty exciting stuff, but yeah, that's basically it. Luckily, Orion was able to survive. Orion and my Spellsinger basically spent like half of the match just hiding behind this rock because they were both almost dead. But they served their purpose. It was a good match, and fun one for my first match as a Wood Elves in competitive play. So well played to my opponent. Let's take a look at how this went as far as unit stats. So Orion, pretty hefty value. My Spellsinger, good value for what I spent on her. Dryads, nothing special. Eternal Guard, nothing special. Standard Dryads, nothing special. Glade Guard pulled a lot of weight. I think they only cost 700. Some of them doubled up on that. Zoats did alright. Not as much damage as I thought they got. Wild Hunters of Kernus definitely pulled their weight. And Great Eagles, I probably didn't use them most effectively. That's making me think that I was onto something with maybe trying to keep them away from big engagements and using them for other types of purposes. So that's something I'll have to play around with. Again, there's a lot of units in this game that are like that. They don't do well in sustained combat. They get shot down very easily. But if you can get them on top of a vulnerable target in an isolated situation, then that's good. So Morathi did decent, not great. I don't know how much he costs. Their master didn't do too much. He wasn't getting them on top of my large units. Bolt Fiends did a lot of work. Blackguard Corsairs did alright. Reaper Bolt Throwers did alright. One of them did pretty good. I think that was the one shooting down the middle. He didn't get his large unit. I'm not Carabitas, I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. Hargonath Executioners got shot down pretty quickly by the Glade Guard and whatnot in the middle. Cold One Knights did pretty good. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And wow, that's actually a lot of value for some Bleak Swords. 1,309. I don't think I've ever seen Bleak Swords do that much work. I want to say they only cost like 600 or something, but maybe my numbers are off. Anyways, well played to my opponent. That was a fun one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.